Have you ever noticed how your motivation just seems to vanish right when you need it the most? If that sounds familiar, then you're in the right place. We're about to dig into a really powerful idea that to get what you want in life, you've got to stop relying on willpower and start building systems instead.
I mean, we've all been there, right? You start a new project, a new workout plan, a New Year's resolution, and you're just on fire with energy. But then it fizzles out. So what gives? Why does that initial spark always seem to fade away?
Well, the answer is actually pretty simple. Motivation, as a feeling, was never meant to be a permanent thing. Think of it like a spark, not a fuel source. And trying to build your future on it is kind of like trying to sail across an ocean on a single gust of wind. It's just not going to happen.
And this leads us right into something I call the willpower trap. It's that exhausting, frustrating cycle of starting out super strong, full of momentum, only to lose steam and slide right back to where you started. It's a trap so many of us fall into over and over again. See, the real problem is that willpower is completely tied to how we feel. Our motivation goes up and down, our energy levels are all over the place, and, life happens. Things change without any warning. So when you build your plans on a foundation that's this shaky, it's no wonder you get stuck in that constant cycle of starting and stopping.
Look, every single one of us wants a better future. We've all got these big dreams and things we want to achieve. But here's the hard truth. Just wanting something, no matter how desperately you want it, isn't actually enough to make it a reality.
So, if willpower is the trap, how do we get out? Well, there's a much more reliable way. It's about creating a structure for yourself, a structure that's designed to keep you moving forward, especially on those days when you're tired, you're worn out, and your motivation is absolutely nowhere to be found. And here it is. This is the core idea of this whole explainer. Your future won't change until your systems change. It's not the big moments of inspiration that define your life. It's the structures you have in place for all the boring, ordinary, everyday moments. That's what really counts. Let's just put these two side by side so you can really see the difference. Willpower? It's all based on emotion. That means it's totally inconsistent, and honestly, it just drains you. But systems? Systems are based on structure. They are consistent by their very nature, and instead of taking your energy, they actually sustain you and your progress for the long haul. So what exactly do I mean by a personal system? Think of it like this. It's a reliable, structured process that you design for your own life. It's a setup that does the heavy lifting for you, making sure you keep moving forward almost automatically so you don't have to argue with yourself when you're feeling tired or just not in the mood. Now, I know this all might sound good in theory, but the big question is, does it actually work in the real world? Well, let's take a look at some real-life evidence. Stories from people whose lives were completely turned around when they made this shift from willpower to systems. All right, first up, let's talk about Bankole. He describes starting from rock bottom, but by putting systems in place, he built not one, not two, but 5 different streams of income. And his only regret? He just wishes he'd started sooner. I mean, that just shows you the incredible financial power of this. And then you have Sharito's story, which is amazing. She found that her systems were what held her together during literal earthquakes and storms. This is so important. It shows that systems aren't just about getting more done. They provide real, emotional stability when life itself feels like it's shaking apart. And I think a lot of us can relate to Kenneth's story. He was falling back into those old, inconsistent habits, and even his wife was skeptical. But by getting back to his systems, he found his balance again. And it wasn't just for him. It had a huge impact on his family life, too. It's about recalibrating everything. So you see, these experiences are so powerful because they're not just nice, feel-good stories. They are actual, concrete evidence that when you stop just wishing and willing things to change and start building structures, real, life-altering transformation is absolutely possible. Okay, so we've seen the proof. Now let's get down to brass tacks. How do we take this big idea of systems and make it a practical, real thing in our own day-to-day lives? And here's the cool part. You can build systems in just about every area of your life. Seriously. We're talking about your finances, your health and energy, your emotional intelligence. You can even build systems for accountability and use things like AI to support your bigger purpose and vision. The possibilities are huge. So where do you begin? It really starts with a simple 3-part shift. First, you just have to start thinking in terms of processes, not just goals. Second, you design what's called a living system. It's not rigid, but a flexible guide for your day. And third, You use that system to create a winning cycle that finally breaks that habit of inconsistency for good.
And if you take away one thing, let it be this. Your biggest dreams, your deepest purpose, they are way too important to be left to chance, to the whims of a good mood or a sudden burst of motivation. They deserve a reliable structure. They deserve a system.
And that brings us right here to the final and most important part. Your turn to build. This is all about you making that conscious choice to shift, to move away from just wishing for change, and to step into the role of being the intentional designer of your own life. And you should know, this isn't just some new theory. It's a proven framework that, for 6 years now, has been the critical turning point for so many people, helping them get unstuck and actually build the lives they once only imagined were possible. At the end of the day, the goal is simple. It's all about replacing the chaos in your life with clarity. It's about replacing that constant struggle with a solid structure. That's what this is all about. So I'll just leave you with this one final thought to really chew on. Just imagine it for a second. What could you truly build? What kind of life? What kind of business? What reality could you create if you never, ever had to wait for inspiration to strike again?